What's up everybody, welcome back to another video. Today's Friday, so you know what that means, brand new video. So today we're going to be talking about best tiers of camera. Which one should you buy based on your experience? Before the video begins, don't forget to like and comment. So today's video we have a special guest starring Evan again. Here's his Instagram. And let's get right into the video. So the first camera we got here is the 70D. It is my first camera that I've ever owned that does 1080 video that's really sharp. I really liked it for the time being. I had it for about probably 1 year, then I upgraded. But I'd recommend the 70D or the 80D. Evan has the 80D, so he'll go a little bit more into depth about that.
The 80D was my first camera, and I was pleasantly surprised by what the capabilities of it was. Mainly was the HD 60 frames per second video side for me. The 80D also had a 24.2 megapixel sensor, is that right? Yep. Crop sensor. And that was way more than enough than what I needed starting off. I decided to jump into straight 80D rather than going through the Rebel series because I figured that it was a little bit more of a step in. If I was going to get into photography and videography from the very get-go, I could actually use the 80D for professional shoots and produce professional quality material.
So the 70D is actually a crop sensor, meaning that it's a slightly cropped in. It is a 20.2 megapixel count, 7 frames per second, continuous shooting. So if you're holding down the shutter on continuous mode, it only takes 7 per second. The video specs on this aren't the best, but it does 1080, 30, and 24, and 720, 60, 30, 24. It doesn't do 4K because it's not professional grade yet, but it did the job for me when I first started out, and all the clips are decently clean, I guess. 720 isn't the best, it's not 1080, but what's nice about this is that it has the flip out screen, so whenever I was vlogging I could see what I was recording. And this has no Wi-Fi, meaning that you can't transfer your clips over Wi-Fi and connect your phone to it, which kind of sucks, but it is what it is.
It is what it is. It is what it is. It is what it is.
Another thing I'd like to mention is that this has a flash, and the rest of these cameras don't have a built-in flash. You have to buy an external flash for it, which is sometimes a pain in the butt because you have to carry more stuff, but I guess you get what you pay. Yeah, why not? Let's roll with it.
Wondering, would this be considered a flash too? A camera flash? It's naked now. So after a certain point of using the 80D, I figured it was time to upgrade. I was starting to get more video and photo clients and paid gigs, so I figured that it was worth the money to invest in a higher camera. So I actually found a deal on Facebook Marketplace of a guy selling the 5D Mark IV body plus the EF 24-70 f2.8 version 2 lens for $3,400, both of them. And at the time that I bought the 5D Mark IV, the body was selling for $3,100. So that means that I had the 24-70 f2.8 version 2 lens for only $400. Which is crazy.
Yeah, that's really good.
Nothing was wrong with it. It was basically brand new. Like, you know, how the metal and the magnesium alloyed feels when it's brand new. Yeah, it still had that feel. It wasn't smooth or anything like that. Yeah, this camera lasted me a good 2 years or so, until I took it out on a canoe ride and it got water damage. So now it's broken and I can't use it anymore. So with that being said, that's when I upgraded to this, and I'll talk about this in just a little bit.
So I personally actually shoot with the Canon 5D Mark IV. Hell of a camera, I really like it. And the specs on this is a full frame compared to a crop sensor, meaning that you actually get the full frame of everything. This has 30.4 megapixels, meaning that it has a higher megapixel count, so you can crop it in Lightroom or Photoshop, wherever you want to do that. Has also a 7 frames per second continuous shooting, which kind of sucks because when you're trying to get shots of people doing backflips or sports, it's not the greatest. But Video wise, this is a really good camera. It does 4K 30, 24, 1080, 60, 30, and 24, and 720, 120, but no autofocus and no sound, which kind of sucks because kind of have to manually focus for autofocus, but give and take. I hardly use a 720 unless I really need it, and 60 frames per second won't cut it. One downside about this camera for me would be that it has no flip out screen, meaning that you can't flip it out like the 70D. It makes it a lot harder to see what I'm vlogging, and I don't know if I'm in frame, but using a wide angle lens helps a lot while vlogging. Makes it a lot easier to see everything that's in. Even if you're on the side, you can kind of crop it in to fix it slightly.
After I broke my camera, I had about maybe like 5 shoots in the following week. So in the next couple days after this stopped working, I immediately just dropped the $4,000 to upgrade to the R5, and I thought this was going to be like the upgrade of my career for now, because of all the video capabilities and upgrades and technology that Canon has put into this camera recently. So the Canon EOS R5 is a full frame camera, but you can also shoot in a crop sensor camera. It gives you that option. It's 45 megapixels on the photo side with 12 frames per second of continuous shooting in silent shutter mode, which is a lot better than these, which are 7 only. On the video side, it can shoot up to 8K RAW, which is incredible and just completely impractical if you ask me. I recorded a 15-second clip the other day in 8K RAW just to test it out, and the file size was 5 gigabytes. I mean, unless you're gonna shoot something that's huge and you need the extra resolution and the flexibility within the dynamic ranging colors, I would probably stay away from 8K RAW just because of the enormous file size that it takes up. It also can do 4K in 120 frames per second, and it also can do 1080 and 60. It does not do 1080 in 120. 8K is the only resolution where this camera can shoot in a RAW format as well. Another great thing that Canon has brought back into this camera is the flip-out LCD screen, which is just amazing, and I missed it after shooting for about 2 years on the 5D Mark IV. So crippling when you can't do low shots very comfortably. This camera also has Wi-Fi, like this camera, but it also includes Bluetooth, so you can stay connected to this camera through your iPhone and Bluetooth connection.
So for the hardware on the 5D Mark IV and 70D, both of the video to photo modes are back here. You just flip this button. Oh, it's on photo already. You just flip it like that, and that's how you switch modes. Super easy. But for the R5, it's slightly different.
Rather than just switching a quick switch right here, the default way to switch from video to photo is through 2 buttons. So you're gonna have to press the mode button at the top, and then you're also gonna have to slide the wheel and then press enter to go from video to photo. But there's a workaround. There's like custom buttons that you can program. So I programmed this small little MFN button up at the top.
Manual function
button at the top to switch from.
I think. Don't quote me on that.
It's probably manual function. So the MFN button at the top, I programmed this button to switch from photo to video because it's literally right by your pointer finger the entire time. You can just go photo, video, photo, video, photo, video, photo, video, photo, video, 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 photo, video. There's also no start and stop button here anymore. You can record video through pressing the small little red circle at the top now. Before on the 5D and the 80Ds, you would have to press the start and stop buttons in order to record video, but now they changed it. This is a designated record button.
So each of these cameras take a different type of memory card. For example, the 70D only takes, it only takes SD cards, which is, some are pretty good, but if you're trying to record higher stuff, something else would be better. The 5D Mark IV actually takes both the SD card, but also a CF
CFast.
CFast
CF
card.
and CFast, I think.
CFast is actually a lot more blockier. It's a lot bigger. I didn't know I needed that. Or you don't need it, actually.
Yeah, you can get by.
Yeah, you can get by with an SD card, but I mean, if you're gonna record like 4K constantly, I highly recommend the CFast or CF.
So in my experience with shooting with the 5D Mark IV, I used mainly an SD card, that wrote at 300 megabytes per second, and it really didn't give me a problem when I recorded 4K. I could just record it and it wrote fast enough to the SD card that I didn't have a problem with it. And finally the R5, they upgraded it so that it takes both SD and a new card format called CF Express, which is a lot smaller and a lot more powerful and also a lot cheaper as well. Right when I bought this R5, I invested in a 256 gigabyte CF Express card.
So when the 70D first came out, it was about $1,000, right? Pretty expensive for just this kind of camera. But right now the price actually dropped about $350, so it's around, or maybe it just dropped like $300. It's around $700. You can find one used for like $300, $400, very cheap. For the 5D Mark IV, this actually came out a couple years ago, and the price, believe it or not, was around $3,400. That is a heck of a lot. Now it is about $1,000 less, coming in at around $2,200, $2,300.
And right now, since the R5 is a relatively new camera, this camera is going for $3,900, which is about $500 more than this one, but has insanely better technology. As soon as I started shooting with this camera, I was so impressed by the new technology that Canon has implemented within this for the cost. I immediately thought that the 5D Mark IV was obsolete.
So we separated this into beginner, prosumer, and upper prosumer, borderline professional use. Like, you can still get away with these for professional use, but yeah. So for beginner, in my personal preference, I'd say the R5 is for beginners. And then this is prosumer, and this is like the best camera of all, 70D. No, I'm just kidding, guys.
As the numbers go higher, right, the professionalism goes higher too.
So this would actually be a good intermediate / beginner. I recommend this to all my friends that want to get into it. Like, I would normally recommend the Rebel series, but Rebel is just like, it's not cutting it, it's not sharp. They take away like 5 stops of sharpness on that thing. It sucks. So 70D or 80D. I recommended my friend the 80D. He loves it. There's also the 90D, which came out I think around the same time, maybe a couple months before R5 and R6. But for prosumer, 5D Mark IV, hell of a camera. I love this thing. I probably will keep using it until it breaks.
Don't break it like me. Keep it off canoe if you don't have a water housing.
Sponsor us, Aquatech.
And yes, I mean, and finally the R5 is Canon's newest product that they launched with all of their latest technology packed into one simple body. Super happy with it so far. Haven't really ran into any problems. I know there's a problem with overheating with higher resolution video. Haven't really ran into that yet, and I haven't also shot like a lot of continuous high resolution video at all yet. So, but other than that though, this camera is absolutely amazing. It's the perfect all-in-one hybrid camera in my opinion on the Canon side.
Okay guys, so that's it for today's video. I just want to close it off by saying thank you guys so much for watching another video starring Evan, and don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that little bell notification to be notified whenever I post. Thanks a lot for watching guys. I'll see you guys next week Friday. Thank you.
Peace.
She says she wanna ride